Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video, and if you are checking this out, we are over on the Lost Island, and it is Ark's newest DLC map. So what I'm going to show you right now is a full explanation of what you can find in the desert zone here. Now, this is probably my favorite zone on the entire map, actually. It's got the most resources, it's got the most tames that you can actually use. I mean, this isn't like an area where you just have useless tames. A lot of things are late game, end game tames here, which is really awesome. You got Argentavis, you've got your Doedicarus, Ankies, Carnos, which are great if you haven't used them before. They're pretty awesome. Mantis can be found in the desert, so can Titan Boa. All around dung beetles, it's just a great spot to start. So what are the best things you can do? Usually the best thing you can do is spawn over near where I am right now, so on the more right hand side of the map when you're looking at it. So if I was to zoom in on this map right here, just so you can see, pretty much this entire zone that I'm looking at right now is a great starting zone to spawn at. The other side is much more difficult, but this side is a great beginner zone because you have everything that you could need. Up this river that I am directly above right now, you can actually find a very ridiculous amount of pearls. Let's see if I can see some right now. Yep. So they literally exist. They look like that right there. And you can find them pretty much anywhere up this river and up into the lake that sits above it. It is a very great pearl spot, and you can just hit this entire lake up, which is also filled with fish for fishing purposes, as well as free water access. It's got a ton of PvE style base builds, lots of flat mountains, and this mountain right here at the chords, just so you can see it, 79.9, 72.2, has a ridiculous amount of resources. It's probably got the most metal in the entire game, the most obsidian, the most crystal as well. So you can just run around this entire mountain and get a stupid amount of resources. Now, the other really awesome thing is if you go down underneath, there are some really neat little, like if you're playing PvE at least, some great little underground locations that you can build in with thylacoleos nearby. Obviously, you see them right there. It's just a really neat area to build. Lots of resources, lots of tames, lots of everything that you could do. Now, what else is in the desert that makes it so special? The reason that you want to probably at least think about building here if you're playing alone, or if you're playing in a larger tribe. Essentially what you're looking for is, what is a continued playability? Now, right over here, this spot right here, I just picked it up, but there is a epic loot crate that spawns in this exact location at 86,670.2. It is a desert style loot crate where you have to be above level 80 in order to access it. And all the loot crates that seem to spawn nearby this mountain right here are gold, red. They're high level loot crates. As you see, there's a gold right there. Now, that's a really great thing and all, but there's also a loot cave over in this zone that we're heading towards right now. So if we go up, you can kind of see this nice zone over here, tons of metal, lots of access to resources, obviously. And down in this zone, you can hit all these individual cracks for a couple of caves. And there's also, down in these cracks, you'll see it right here in front of me, a loot crate cave. 87.7, 78.4, and you can simply go inside of this cave and run the entire thing on foot without any danger as long as you follow. I've got a video on it. It's very easy to run. I'll kind of just show you a basic entrance into it. You just press a couple of buttons and then you run into this cave, and there's a ton of loot. Usually you have at least 5. This will not kill you. It'll do a little bit of damage to you, obviously, but it's not going to kill you. And then you just run through these rooms. Now, these rooms usually have a very high probability of red crates in here. They can be pretty much located anywhere in these rooms, but there are 3 different distinct sets. I'll go ahead and show you by going into ghost mode so you can see what I'm talking about when I say 3 distinct sets. This is a very large labyrinth area. It's called the Labyrinth Cave to some people, whatever you want to call it. It works just fine. There are Arthropleura in there, but only if you actually drop them in. And there are a bunch of different rooms that you can find in this cave that have 5 different ascendant tier loot crates. There are none on my solo player right now, but there's a bunch of loot in the desert, which is really awesome. So you just have to go to this cave in order to actually locate it. Now, great, you've got loot, you've got resources, you've got tames. What more could actually make you want to be here? You've also got the new tames that are very easy to find in the desert. In this zone right over here, you're going to find a ton of Sonoma crops, which is going to be highly useful for you, obviously, right around this lake right here. And then if you move a little further towards this region over here where you've kind of got these like plains, you're going to find a very large amount of Amargasaurus. Now, they sit on the edge of this mountain right over here, and they kind of just run. There's one right there, and they just run around aggroing to literally everything because that's what they do. This is also probably one of the best places to tame them because there's a huge number of wilds nearby. If you can see, there's one right there. Pretty simple. And these guys are really easy to tame, actually. So what you want to do is just find anything nearby, build a little bit of a trap, and then just do damage to them. Now that's great and all. There's still more in the desert that's awesome. Obviously, you can go under the ground and see things, but there are death worms over here that give you a bunch of experience, and they give you a bunch of things that are useful for taming stuff later in the game, making certain potions and stuff like that. It's a pretty great little area, honestly. This is just the straight up desert. There are loot crates out here, but there are no ascendant tier loot crates. It is just normal loot crates like you can see over here. Plus, you've got tons of access to polymer. Killing Mantis will get you about 100 polymer per pop. There really isn't anything that you can't acquire in this desert. Now, that being said, there are things that are more difficult to acquire, like you have to build a little bit closer to water when you're considering building in this desert, but it's not necessarily required. You can go to the far side over here as well. Tons of resources. You got wood all over the place. You've got cactus sap, stuff to make any sort of explosives that you could want. And it's a lot of stuff that exists here. You got Theodons. You're not going to be able to get a Rex over here. I've seen Spino spawn over here, but no Rexes. Still have yet to see a Rex spawn over here. So you'll have to go to the mainland for a Rex. But a lot of people, it's also going to be pretty sparse because people don't like building in the desert for some reason. So people try to avoid that, but I like building in the desert a lot, so that's personal opinion. I like to build here because people typically stay away from you, and you can kind of have your own space. Now, there's also plenty of caves over in the desert. Usually the best way to find the caves is if you go down some of these larger cracks here. See this one right here? If you go down towards the end of them, there will almost always be some form of cave like you see right here. And you can kind of just go in, and they're pretty safe. There's a lot of room in here to build, a lot of stuff you can do with this. Kind of hard to raid, too, because it's a small entrance area right here. It would be difficult. I mean, you could raid it, but you have to be very knowing of what you're doing. They're all over the place. There's plenty of base locations that exist here, and there's tons of rat holes built all over the walls. It looks like there's some sort of base down here, maybe? Yep, there's another one. You can see right here, another nice little base location. See that dark coloring down there? You can just kind of go into that. But there's also high points if you like building a taller base, so there's lots of resources. The desert is one of my favorite places to build on Lost Island. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. And again, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. That would be greatly appreciated. If you enjoy some of the content, hit that subscribe button. I try and produce as much as I can for you guys. And if you got anything to say, add it in the comments below. Hope this helped you out, and teach. Wow.